You are now entering Maximum Driftcast, the only drifting podcast hosted by a Spanish soccer mom, a 30-year-old silver-haired fox going on 60, and finally, a 200-pound bowl of spaghetti with chimichanga arms.
The champions, we are the champions.
And we're back with Maximum Driftcast, the only drifting podcast brought to you by Corey Hosford.
That was a great intro.
Been practicing
Hey,
all day.
What did you do with Sam?
Oh, no, what's happening? Sam who? Who's that?
Sam Balvin.
Sam
What did you do with
Balvin.
Sam Balvin?
I kicked him in the butt.
Oh boy, what did he do to deserve that, dude? What did he do?
He didn't show up.
Sam knows we have a call time at 7 o'clock and he's not showing up again. What is he doing? Shooting like Hot Wheels stuff or Porsche stuff? What is he doing?
It's only 7:51 anyways. It's not like we are early either.
You can't count on that man anymore.
That's right. How you doing, Corey?
I'm doing good, Yako. I'm still figuring out where Sam's at. So
I think he's in oblivion.
I tried paging him on his pager and he hasn't responded yet. So I'm hoping he gets back to us here.
You still
soon.
rocking the pager?
He still rocks a pager. Yeah, my code that I page him with is 80085.
Wait. What happens if you read that upside down?
What do you mean?
Oh. I'll let the millennials figure it out.
Dude, do you remember
They don't
that
even know what a
back in the day?
pager is. Huh?
Back in the day, you have secret pager codes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't remember, like, oh, you have to read them upside down. It's like, oh.
Well, oh, and then, yeah, you see where this says boobs upside down, and you're like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that was the best. And then the
Dude,
Nokia,
sick text,
the
sick-
Nokia
sick
8150, what's what, like the 8120 came out and it had Snake, and everybody forgot about that.
Yep, and then after that, the next big hit was the Sidekick.
That's right, with the flipping screen.
Dude, I used to crush the Sidekick.
You always been a lone
Dude,
hero,
I'd sit there,
no
like, I would
sidekick.
send a text message. I'd be sit there, and then like I have my phone. I'd be like, and I'd flip them. I'd send a text, and I'd fucking slam.
As soon as
shut,
that
and 2 seconds
screen
later-
flips, the panties drop.
Yep. Dude, I wish I still had my Sidekick because that thing was, the keys were worn off of it after like 2 weeks. I had no buttons left on it. I just smoked it.
I thought Dustin was your sidekick.
He was, but I couldn't text on Dustin. I can only write on him.
You only send him smoke signals.
Yep, only send him smoke signals, tire smoke signals as usual.
Nice.
But
Corey.
anyways, guys, in case you didn't notice,
Yeah.
Sam Melvin's not going to be with us. He said he's in an editing K-hole, whatever that means. I guess he's just in a big swamp pit of editing. So we'll miss Sam this episode.
It's
Or
fine.
we won't. You guys kind of be the judge about that. But at least you're stuck with Paco and myself. And then obviously we have Big Balls Brian on the onesie twosies, huh, Balls?
Yep. I heard they're bringing
There he
back the
is.
Razor.
They're bringing the Razor back, the
The
Moto
folding
Razor,
screen.
with the new screen.
Now the phone, the Razor. Remember the Motorola Razor?
Yep. Oh, of course. That was like the OG flip phone, dude.
It
That was
looked-
V1.
It
Flip
looked
phone
the
V1.
same, but now with like a screen that flips in half.
Actually, the Motorola Razor was version 1 of the potato camera, wasn't it?
Pretty much.
That was the best thing about the Motorola Razor was the potato camera.
Yeah.
And then here we are. Now we're freaking live streaming on the internet to all our buddies out there around the world who like
the technology,
drifting
man. Everything is becoming technology and electric.
The only technology that we can't ever figure out is your internet at your house or at the studio. I mean, because your studio is not in the house.
It's
but
not
we
in the
can't
house,
figure it
but
out.
yeah. I mean, apparently, as every time, like, Arizona, we usually have a very nice weather, but for some reason, it's snowing up in Flagstaff, which is like it's almost the end of May, and it's cloudy and kind of cold outside. So the internet is a little bit stupid today, but it looks like it kind of like evened out right now. So we'll see. I mean, worst case scenario, this show is being recorded as we speak. Para español, marque el número 2. And so for whatever reason the connection drops, we will just upload right after the episode is done.
So just bear with us, guys. As you know, our internet's usually flawless.
It's been pretty good recently.
But
But by the way,
anyways,
Corey, you have some news and updates.
what do I mean? I have some news, dude.
Well, I mean, you already revealed, but tell us about the reveal.
Oh, dude, I've been holding that back for 4 months now. 4 or 5 months I've been holding that livery back.
That's a long time to hold a fart, Corey.
Dude, I was clenching for about 4 to 5 months and then finally had to leak it out. And it was the biggest relief that I've ever experienced was finally leaking one out on the internet to everybody.
Just leak it over everybody.
Actually, the best leak out I ever did was in your face on Sam's couch, but that's leak out number 2. That was my favorite.
That was to the day I still wake up in the middle of the night, like with like, yeah, there's like, it's the tremors. Oh no, it's just a flashback.
There's a lot of stuff. Actually, I'm looking at chats right now. I'm going through YouTube and Facebook chats. Which, by the way, guys, interact with us on Facebook chat, YouTube chat. We're gonna kind of be popping in, checking out questions and things like that. Yeah. And I'm already seeing a lot of questions kind of pop up as
super chat.
I wasn't on the last episode, so I want to definitely, as you guys can imagine, why I wasn't on the last episode. I was getting my old Ripper race car ready for grid life as it was crunch time because I had to get ready for this. And then before that, yes, you guys did see me at the Burnyard Bash. I was doing the announcing.
That wasn't Chip Keys. That was
bash.
You.
Yeah, that wasn't Chip Keys. That was fully me. So I was helping Drew with the Twitch, and then I was doing the live commentary at the Burnyard Bash, which I'll be doing most of those now. So if you guys ever make it out to the Burnyard Bash, I'll be out there emceeing. Make sure you come out and say hi. Hopefully I'm going to drag Paco out to the next one, and he can experience the chaos that we do at the Burnyard Bash. But I've also been working with Hoonigan full-time, actually, and obviously helping K-Sport and Voodoo and all those guys. So I just been completely overwhelmed on top of working on the race car, which now I can kind of sit back and get ready to ship the car out on Monday to Grid Life, finally.
Perfect. Can't wait, because that's next weekend.
That's next weekend.
Corey, it's next weekend. Holy crap.
Yeah, dude, it is next weekend. I ended up, the videos that I did post on my Instagram about me shaking down the car, that is the most I've driven it in 5-6 months since we rebuilt it, which Paco.
Oh, you're going to do so good at Grid Life.
Dude, I told you, the first lap, I'm going to try to put it in the gravel trap.
Backwards entries.
I'm going to slide off at turn 1 and just put it in the sand, first lap out. And we're going to put on a show for everybody.
I want you to do a backwards entry straight into the trailer.
Yep, I would do that. I did that in FD, so I'm not going to do that in Grid Life. But anyways, yes, Paco, about the car real quick.
Yeah.
2JZ, same thing, same turbo. I did more of an aggressive wastegate spring. I finally put a blow-off valve on it because I didn't have a blow-off valve before. I was running straight off the wastegate. So I was super excited to get a towel blow-off valve because now the car makes tons of crazy noises, which is really all I wanted. I went to a vibrant 4-inch oval exhaust, which gives it also another sweet exhaust sound. I upped the power just a little bit. I'm running on C16 gas, so I got a fresh new tune, making a little more ponies, got a little more style. I got the 2F LFCs, Paco, which is sick with the Rocket Bunny stacked on top.
Can I get a whoop? Can I get a whoop for that?
I'll get you a whoop. Fire
whoop.
back now. But yeah, so that's been completely awesome. I am so stoked. I love delivery. My buddy Andreas, who is from Norway, who actually designed Honeydell's old liveries last year when he was with Huddy Racing, all those liveries that were on Honeydell's car with his Fast Orange, Gum Out, Rain X, those were all designed by Andreas, nice. WNVLD on Instagram. And I really loved his work, so I hit him up, and we just started collabing, and we came up with a couple different designs, which I should probably show one of my old designs, huh, Paco? We were talking about that before the show. I'm going to show you guys in the stream one of my old options, because I haven't posted it yet. So let me see if I can find it here. Because we had a couple different... Oh. All right.
Did you find it?
All
right.
Yes. So we started with I wanted like a very JDM Japanese style livery, and that's what kind of made me want to get away from like the traditional AM. So I'm like, dude, this is my party car. I want to go out there and I want to party in it. And I want this to be a representation of what I am or what I think I want to be with drifting. The old AM design was awesome. It did its job, you know, as
a rock star,
traditional AM rock star car, right? It's super freaking cool, but it's like it never made me want to party. It was just like it is what it is. But so this is one of the original designs. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me back up here.
That looks pretty cool.
Oh no, the green screen.
The green
is-
screen's kind of like acting on it, but it still looks pretty cool. We'll
Nice.
just send it over and I will post it for the people who wants to watch it.
Oh god, it looks so bad. Oh well. Anyways, I'll send it over to Big Ball so he can share it on the stream and show you guys. The other thing that I figured out is I'm still not good at working on cars. That's one thing I am definitely not good at.
Things haven't changed, Corey.
No, that's one thing. I was hoping to take 6 months off and come back at it like really good, but no, didn't work out very well. But that's been literally my past 3 weeks, and now I can I got to do some stuff tomorrow to the car. Other than that, it's like changing spark plugs, running some new some heat wrap, and just buttoning up. Knock on wood.
Good.
Because the last time, real quick, this time last year, the car was still in pieces at Portland Speed Industries, where the guys were literally scrambling, getting it done. And I was just talking to Jason the other day, the owner of PSI, and I was like, dude, I am so nervous right now because it makes me nervous because I feel so far ahead. Usually I'm like scrambling and pulling my hair out, but it's like, hey, I got some time now and things are getting going, but it makes me nervous that we're actually ahead.
Well, I mean, this time it's ready to go.
It's ready to go. But yeah, what about you? You're building a freaking fort in your backyard.
I'm building a shed, garage kind of like thing in my backyard. Pretty much just a place to be able to work on all the project cars that are not in the garage, that are the ones that are in the back, because I have a lot of stuff in the back. But just that, nothing too crazy. Working on
van. Your van just looks unhappy.
Well, because it's sitting, it's just waiting for her time to be worked on it. Right now, I'm putting more time and work on the Corvette. Which, by the way, Weissfab send me their new S14 version 2 angle kit. It's going on pretty soon, and once I get a little bit of free time, I'm gonna put some work on the van. But especially like once that shed is done, should be able to start working on it.
Dude, the other thing that I want to tell you too is what I'm really stoked on. I never corner balanced my car, really had a line before. My car weighs 2,550, 2,550 pounds.
Without you?
Without me in it.
It's not bad.
Dude, that's light.
Yeah, that was like what I can't remember its name right now.
What? Say it. Say yeah.
Fuck, I'm just being stupid. I can't remember. I hate it that I can remember. Dylan's car was like about that weight.
Yeah, and think about it.
Yeah,
I'm not a professional either, and we got it down to 2,550.
Nice. Well, that's good,
Yep.
man. You don't have a weight minimum, so.
No, and then it's 2,550 without me in it, and then it's 3,250 with me in it.
What's that like 450 pounds of?
It's just over 600.
Of 600, yeah, sounds about right.
Yep. So it's right there.
That's
Thanks, dude.
that's fully dry.
But anyways, talking about cars and all this cool stuff, which I guess that's why we're here.
Yeah.
I haven't ever talked to this guy before on the stream. Now that I think about it, and I was like, you know what, we need to talk to this dude.
Yeah.
Because
there was a lot of speculation.
He's been doing some shit this year.
Yeah.
This guy's been doing some stuff this year, and he tried keeping it low key for a long time. But guess what?
It's been making waves.
It's not going to snake us, dude.
Yeah.
We knew this was going down since day one. We called it. We saw this happening.
I say let's bring him in and I'm just gonna hit him hard. Like
So if you can hit him anywhere, where would you hit him? Like,
dude, I'm gonna punch him in the throat.
Oh God!
Straight in the throat.
Paco, you can't punch him in the throat.
Oh, I mean, that doesn't mean I'm gonna do it, but
that's where you would want to. If you you're telling me
if I saw him right now, I would totally slap him silly.
I would not let you do that. That's messed up. Oh,
the other way, Brian.
Hey, man.
Which way do I go?
There you go.
That looks good right there. You won't believe it. we were just talking about going to Ace Hardware and picking up some shit for Paco's van.
Hello, Travis.
I'm blowing it on the alignment. What's up, guys?
What up, buddy?
Hey, so what you just heard was totally false. Paco did not mean he was going to punch you in the throat.
Yeah, I'm
What
not.
he meant
I'm
to
not gonna
say
punch you.
I want to take Travis Reeder on my boat. Is what he said.
That's cool. What kind of boat do you have, Paco?
It's Cadillac '68 Eldorado.
You get a couple of oars, and it's one for the lake. It's really cool.
Sounds pretty sweet.
No, it is. It's super badass. It's electric too.
I wish.
Look at Ryder just creeping in the background. Oh, my other shoulder.
You probably have to up. Show
There
us
it is.
with your
Yeah,
camera.
He's gone. Just
Oh,
kidding.
That's it.
So here you guys have Travis Reeder, Pro 1 driver, and what I just realized, you're leading rookie points right now, which is, I wish I can virtually high five you, because you're doing a hell of a job.
Boop.
And another goal that we have is this, I think this may be my first time actually. Is this my first time drift casting with you?
Yep, you missed both the other ones because you were.
Well, what I was doing is I was studying your drifting style because I wanted to come back with a vengeance, and I want to learn your weaknesses. So when you were on the show, that gave me time to really start studying, and I haven't figured out a weakness yet, but I'm still working on it. And actually, the other thing I did, you won't believe it, but I actually bought a couple forklifts, and I took the batteries out and put them in my S14.
Cool. How'd
Yeah,
that work out?
I missed 2 rounds already.
Oh.
Are you making it a hybrid, Corey?
I'm working on a hybrid setup. Yep, I've been really working on it, but
You have to start making the car looking like a Prius.
it's almost there, man. It really is. It's already halfway there. Almost looks like a hatchback. But that's enough about my dumb stuff. I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know more about Travis's cool stuff because he's the only one doing cool things here. Paco's build. Just give you an idea what you're competing against. Paco's building a shed in his backyard, and I had a hard time filling my fucking radiator up with water. So if you do anything cooler than that, you're winning. But I want to go back. All right, I want to go back to Long Beach round 1, Reader. Let's take it back a couple weeks.
Okay.
You're in the Napoleon rig, right? I'm going to say you're driving it because you look like a really badass truck driver probably in that thing. So you're driving this sweet ass truck. You pull up to Long Beach and everybody is drooling over this fucking electric Camaro that just says, "I'm an animal," and has an American flag on it. And that's when he came out with the leather vest with no shirt underneath it. You remember that?
Yeah, assless jackets too.
Dude, he looked so good. But you came out there swinging, just debuting this Camaro, and then all of a sudden on the internet we hear, "Hey, the Camaro's not running." Can you kind of break down the Long Beach weekend for us on how that all transpired?
Yeah. So we brought the car out to Media Day. I knew I wasn't gonna be able to drive Media Day because I was a rookie and they don't want noobs wadding up their cars on Media Day in the concrete jungle that is Long Beach. But we were just showing the car for Media Day, making an appearance, hanging out, and there was some of the, Long Beach Fire Department is always very active during those events, and they take their stuff very seriously. So before you knew it, they were checking out the car and asking questions and looking it over. And kind of long story short, throughout that day and then Thursday, we kind of just heard that they had some issues with the car running. They didn't know if they wanted to let us run it or not. There were some technicalities, I guess, and I don't know all the details because I wasn't at any of the meetings or anything like that. But from what I understand, they didn't feel like they could safely combat an electric vehicle fire in a timely manner for the event, or they didn't have the time to train their guys properly for it before the event started. So they kind of just told us, sorry, we can't really let you guys run it, which we respect their decision. but it did kind of suck. But I did get to bring the S13 out, which, as I see it now, is kind of a blessing in disguise.
Which for those who don't know, there used to be Formula E running on Long Beach a couple years ago. So the crew were actually equipped for electric car fire, which is a very different thing. You know, when an electric car crashes, the power cables, they can get mangled, and they can cause, you know, like big fire, or the lithium batteries pretty much catch fire eternally. So they used to have that, but now since Formula E is gone, their crew is just like a normal crew, just ready to battle a regular gasoline fire. And apparently that's kind of like a big issue because the track is pretty much owned by the city, because it's actually city streets. So at the end of the day, it's literally just a city ordinance saying we can't have an electric car because we don't have the.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised too, because I know the Formula E cars, from what I understand, are pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So if a Tesla's driving down Long Beach Boulevard or whatever it is in the middle of the day and that thing explodes, are they be like, oh, shit, we shouldn't have Teslas on the street because we can't combat it?
No, but they are. The fire departments, like city fire departments, are trained to battle electric cars. Like all electric cars, including hybrids, they have a standard, like where the cables go through, and all the firemen, they know where to cut in order for the batteries to be disconnected. So that's like already like standard practice.
So why weren't they there for one? And then how come, just out of curiosity, why do you think it wasn't set up? I'm assuming FD knew time ahead that this magical electric car was going to be showing up to Long Beach. Why wasn't that looked at?
I'm not sure how that all went down. I do know that, like, if a Tesla goes down in California, like bounce off some guardrails or whatever, gets an accident on the freeway, from what I understand, it's a very timely procedure to get the car like safely pulled off the freeway. If there is a fire, they have to take, I guess it's like a couple hours long procedure to get it like quarantined and let everything burn out. So if they would use the same procedure at Long Beach, they probably would have had to like clear the venue or something, and it probably wouldn't have worked for the show. But in Formula D's defense, they went to bat for us pretty hard and did all that they could. So because they're super on board and love having us there. So they did everything in their power. We did everything in our power to kind of sway the decision, but it didn't exactly go our way. And all we could do was say, like, we respect Long Beach's decision and just roll with it. So it is what it is. Kind of a bummer, but it was still a good weekend.
It worked out. It definitely worked out. Because you went out there with your little dinger swinging, dude. I saw you slammed the door on it. I saw it hanging out. Like, you slammed the tip in the door, and I saw the thing dragging across track because you ended up qualifying.
It was
super high.
Sparks.
Yeah, I think I got like qualified with like an 84 and an 85. I think it was like
unreal
16th or something position.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good.
One of the things,
never driven that track before. It was kind of good to be in the S13 because I know the car so well because I've been driving it for 8 years. That it was kind of like I sat in the car and pulled up on grid, and I was kind of at home. So it was good.
One of the things we noticed is that your 13 even is sharing a livery with a Camaro, so I guess it's like being operated as well by Napoleon Motorsports. So were you guys preventing, like, you knew that the electric car might still have some issues and might as well just bring your car as a backup? That was like part of the plan originally?
Yeah, so I mean, we always, like, with the nature of the Camaro and just what it is, there's always that chance. We don't ever plan for anything like that to happen.
Yeah.
But we did prep the S13 to have on the rig just in case, for like instances of like just in case we had a mechanical or something, to have kind of a backup car. We didn't expect to pull it out for the fact that we just couldn't run it. So that was a little different, but we did have the car on deck, and I wanted them to look similar and so did the team. So we ended up kind of doing like a flip-flop livery for both of them to make them look the same, which was pretty sweet. Turned out pretty cool.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, and so even going back a little bit before Long Beach, obviously that was kind of like the big talk of the town was debuting this big Camaro at Long Beach and then not being able to drive it. But tell us a little bit kind of beforehand leading up, how did that whole deal kind of start going down? When did you start getting wind of the opportunity of potentially driving that car? Because obviously there was another driver that was potentially driving it, and then you got that seat. Can you give us like a small breakdown on how this kind of evolved into you being in the position that you are now? And how much time did you have in the car prior to Long Beach?
Yeah, so it was pretty random, actually. I was just prepping my S13 to run another season of Pro 2. That was kind of the plan. I was just waiting on motor and other drivetrain stuff to get back to throw the car together to get ready for that. And basically, I knew some people who knew some people and ended up getting a pretty random phone call one day from those guys. And they kind of filled me on what they were doing and what their plans were and asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. And I was like, hell yeah, sounds like a pretty sweet gig to me. So I'm super interested in it. It's super different. And I think it's awesome what they're trying to do. And then a couple weekends later, I flew out and met the team, checked out the car, and finalized some details. And here we are today. It was like, see, that happened like a couple months before Long Beach. But yeah, Randall was supposed to drive the car. He had some other opportunities in life that kind of changed his direction. So they kind of parted ways in a good way. And the opportunity just kind of opened up and I kind of fell into the seat.
And without that, if you did not have that opportunity, you would be, still be running Pro 2 in your S13 this year then, right?
Yep, I would.
Man, how cool is that?
It's pretty
badass, huh?
Surreal. Yeah, it's pretty crazy now that I think back at how like the last couple months have been. It's been super wild. I've been traveling a lot, which I'm not necessarily used to, and meeting a lot of new people and doing a lot of cool stuff. So it's like, it's definitely a big change of pace in my life from the last couple years. But super thankful, super stoked for it. Can't wait.
It kind of happened pretty quick, right? Like it was like I'm not saying like last minute, but they did an announcement that they were gonna have Randall Waters driving the car, and then suddenly out of nowhere, suddenly
By
Randall.
the way, we knew the whole time.
Oh, but the people didn't know, and then suddenly we're like, oh shit, Randall's not gonna drive the car, so who's he gonna be? I remember I even theorized like, oh, they're gonna ask Corey.
Oh. They don't let me near anything with electricity because I'll try to stick a fork in it. They stopped that a long time ago.
But it's pretty cool
that fire suit.
How that go, by the way? Did they just like ask you, or somebody recommended you, or how did that ended up working out?
Yeah, I mean, I just like a couple of the guys involved. I just ended up knowing people. I'm one at an event to like go and talk to as many people as possible because I like just socializing with drivers and teams and like making friends and hanging out, and like I ended up just meeting people who knew the people involved in the program, and I guess my name came up randomly, and it's super weird to think about, but yeah, it kind of all just like came together. I wouldn't say super last minute, but it was kind of like getting down to crunch time. And like I said, I was fully prepping for Pro 2, and then I was like, oh shit, yeah, looks like I'm going to Long Beach.
But that's pretty cool, right? I mean, it was like one of those unexpected twists of fate.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So tell me about the first time you saddled up on that wild stallion and you pressed the gas pedal for the first time. What was the experience like driving that car for the first time compared to the S13?
Corey, it's not called the gas pedal, it's the amps pedal.
Oh man, god damn it, Paco. Thanks for dropping that.
Yep. Now you know. Back to you.
Yeah, no, it was super weird because I didn't know what to expect, and I had driven a Tesla before, but I knew it wouldn't really compare exactly, but I figured it'd be similar. But it's just really odd, just barely laying into the throttle and having so much torque on hand, but then not hearing anything when you start moving fast. Like you hear the tires pick up rocks and throw them into the fender wells, and you hear them like vividly, like bouncing off the fenders and the underbody of the car because there's nothing else to make noise.
Did you ever had a chance to drive the Tesla on Ludicrous? How do you say that?
No, the one I drove didn't have ludicrous mode.
It didn't have Ludicrous mode?
No.
But still, like, I mean, even the I guess like the non P70 whatever code they are called, they're still pretty fast, right? I mean,
Yeah, like a P85.
wait, there you go.
The P85 is the highest model of the rear-wheel drive versions, and from what I understand, the ludicrous mode was only in the all-wheel drive versions for kind of the safety factor of that. But even just the rear-wheel drive P85 is super quick, and it'll still just like light the tires up, like down the street, no problem. It's
I remember.
cool.
I remember actually. I test drove a Chevy Volt, and I think it'll take off. Like it'll fucking put you in your seat.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just imagine what the Camaro can do. Because I mean it's if you're not careful, like you'll rip off the axles, right?
I mean, probably. The thing, like, when it hooks up and you actually lay into it, like, the acceleration is pretty unreal. Like, nothing I've ever felt before.
It goes.
Yeah, like my S13 at 600 wheel or so, when it's gripped up and you just run it through the gears in a straight line, it still feels like, it kind of feels like a Geo Metro as far as acceleration compared to the Camaro.
Have you guys put the Camaro on a quarter mile or even better, like a mile straight line?
No, I want to though.
Yeah, dude, you guys should. That'll be wild.
Does it really feel? Does it noticeably feel much faster than like your 600 horsepower S13?
Acceleration wise, yeah, it's super noticeable.
And why, just out of curiosity, and why do you think your S13 generates more smoke or wheel speed, it seems, than the Camaro? Like, your S13 will, like, just generate tons of wheel speed, make tons of smoke, but, like, looking back at Atlanta, like, you're qualifying, it was like, obviously you had good angle, but you weren't generating the type of smoke like your S13 would. Why do you think that is?
I think there was a lot of factors that made that happen. Like, because the car's only essentially one gear, as the vehicle, if the vehicle speed is slower, then the wheel speed will be high. So the difference between vehicle and wheel speed will be a lot greater, and that would generate more smoke. Once the vehicle speed increases and the wheel speed is still where it's at, that deficit gets smaller. So it might decrease the amount of smoke, and also like how much grip you have in the car comes into play, and there's a lot of factors. Obviously the car was slower than like Chelsea's in the top 32, obviously. But we still have a lot of development to do to get it up to speed. We're
literally
working our ass off. The team's like killing it as far as getting it going and trying to get it up to speed as quick as possible. But we're trying to develop, like, we have two factors we're trying to develop at the same time. The fact that we have a Camaro chassis that's not proven. The 6th gen Camaro chassis that's never been an FD. So we're learning and developing that on top of the electric power plant, which hasn't been done. So we are like, our workload is pretty high, but we're super committed to making it work. It's just gonna take a little bit.
But
that brings up a really good point, because out of all the chassis you can choose, you could have put that electric motor into a Corvette, you could have put it into an S14, you could put it into a Mustang, you could put it into anything you ever wanted, ever you dreamed. You could took your S13 and put it in there. Why did you guys choose a Camaro? Not like it's a bad thing, but why? You're just looking at the odds that you're like stacking up against you. It's like, hey, Travis, guess what? We want you to drive an electric car this year. You're like, man, that's going to be tough, but we'll get it figured out. And they're like, oh, by the way, it's going to be in a Camaro too. And you're like, oh, well, fuck, now that's going to be really tough. It's like you guys purposely threw all the odds at you.
I mean,
so why wasn't another direction and chassis?
I would have put him on a Buick Riata instead, but
of course you would. They're already electric
Yeah.
from the factory, right?
Yeah.
So, the Napoleon Motorsports guys, with their Trans Am background, had always ran Camaros in Trans Am for the last few years that they ran all those events and whatever. And when they wanted to venture into the drifting stuff and had this idea, they had stumbled across a chassis, a 6th-gen chassis, from a buddy of theirs that had one just kind of laying around, and was like, hey, are you guys interested in using this car? And they're like, oh yeah, it just makes sense since we campaign 6th-gen. They're 2 chassis cars in Trans Am, but we campaign 6th-gen Camaros in Trans Am, so we kind of want to stick with the Chevy platform for this. And it was kind of a decision that was made, and I'm not against it. I think the car it's a lot better than like the fifth gen for sure.
Well, this one's the same. Is the Alpha platform, which is the same as the ATS, which obviously Taylor Hall and
Meeks.
Austin Meeks, they both drive, so there's probably a little bit of development on that. Do you guys ever like share notes or components with them at all, or you're just making all your own stuff?
The ATSs they're pretty close to the same, but there are some differences. As far as sharing notes, we haven't done any of that for, I'm sure, the reason because everyone's kind of learning, and on top of us being electric, how the powertrain and the power band is in the car will, I'm sure, the setup in the car has to be drastically different from theirs.
What I'm envisioning right now, sorry, I'm laughing. I'm envisioning like if you three were sharing notes, Austin Meeks would be drawing like animals, and you would probably be drawing like bow ties, and then Taylor would be probably drawing old like Chargers or Challengers, and you guys would just be sharing your notes for the weekend. So I don't know how much would get done on that, but
Sure.
yeah, because you guys obviously it's a very similar platform, but like you said, the drivetrain is what makes it so significantly different that even if you're not changing rear gears, right? You're not.
No.
There's no final drive 1-to-1. It's push on the
gas. The motor obviously motor to differential is 1-to-1, but Tesla's, if I'm not mistaken, that's the rear axle from an all-wheel drive, right? Which I think it's like a 9.73 ratio. But do you guys have at least an RPM or tachometer, or at least knowing how fast the engine's turning or something like that?
Data. What do you collect for data?
A lot of our data we collect is on the batteries and temperatures and a lot of things. We have our dash display, like our controller, that displays a lot of values for us that we pull data off of. Motor temperatures, inverter temperatures. We have battery cell temperatures, things like that. So the data, it's kind of funny because the data that we're collecting off this car, I would never in a million years think I'd be collecting off of a race. So it's kind of funny when I'm like on the radio after a run, I'm reading off this data to log to our spotter, and we just like go through the list, and I kind of like crack up every time because it's like, oh, the temperature on our printed circuit board is this much this lap. It's just like it kind of cracks me up, but it's super cool at the same time because I'm learning so much.
It probably sounds like a bunch
We're
of
going in thermonuclear meltdown.
It probably sounds
if
like
another team listened into like what we're saying on the radio for the car, they'd probably be like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Dude, they'd be like, look at these wizards flying around on the racetrack.
it's gotta be like a bunch of World of Warcraft guys talking about their computers. Oh, you have an NVIDIA GTX
44 gigawatts
with a wet cooling system, and
We went from 40 gigabytes of RAM to 30.
Yeah, dude. That is actually really funny. That is actually really awesome because in relation, it's actually that is the data you need to perform. So it's like, okay, well, I don't know how much more power can we add to the bat. I don't even know how do you make it go faster? You can't just throw a supercharger or a turbo on it. So what do you do to make it go faster? You know what I mean? It's so different than what we're so used to. That how do you make it better from here?
Yeah, I guess you just turn the voltage up.
That sounds very complicated.
Just give it more juice.
Do you know how how many volts are you running?
It's roughly 420-ish.
420 volts.
Yeah.
That sounds like a shocker. Brum, pss.
Nice joke, Bucko.
Thank you.
My other joke would be: have you ever thought about instead of having like a couple ignition switches or like a switch panel that you actually have like house lights that you just flip up to turn on everything?
Like house switches.
We have like a your standard house circuit breaker. That's mounted in the center of the car. So you if you have your circuit breaker blow for one of your like your flux capacitor or something else in the car, you just pop your circuit breaker while you're drifting and turn it back on.
That's pretty cool. I mean, if you think about it, Corey, it's like
I don't even know what to say, dude. Like, think about nerd now. It's like, oh, dude, look at that 2JZS14. Oh, what the fuck is this thing? You know what I mean? It's like, imagine the talks in the pits, and I'm sure you standing around your car, it's like people walk up and look at it and just kind of wonder what is going on with it. But obviously on the internet, we see quite a few different responses. But what is the response you've been receiving on your end in person, especially being now at 3 events? What's your general take on it from what people are thinking and saying?
The opinions from the people that I feel opinions matter, I guess. Everyone is really stoked on it. I've gotten a lot of positive comments from drivers and officials at FD and even fans. A lot of guys just think it's super cool and love how revolutionary and different it is.
Mm-hmm.
I do get the occasional hate mail in my DMs.
I love it. You can't tell me you don't love it. I love the hate the best.
I mean, I just think it's funny because like think back to FD 2011, 2012 when people started LS swapping cars, and if you had an LS swap 240, you were the Antichrist, and you were shunned from the world, and now everyone else swaps 240s and it's cool and everything's sweet, and then you do this and all of a sudden we're the Antichrist again.
Oh yeah,
because it's so different that like we basically are bringing like an alien to the track, and everyone's like, oh, we like aliens, like this thing's weird.
Yeah.
And then they hate, and then they like slowly get into it, and I've changed quite a few people's minds on the subject after talking to them for 15 or 20 minutes about it, and kind of like swayed their opinion on the car. But it's definitely interesting talking to people about what they think.
It was very interesting when you finally got to run at Atlanta, and Jared is like, all right, here we go. For the first time, everybody keep quiet, listen to this. And like literally quiet, like nobody was making any sound, and you could just hear like, it was like almost like the Jetsons, like, you know, like you could only hear.
Super weird.
Yeah, it was so weird. Like it was like I was literally like holding my breath to be able to listen, you know, like everything, because we couldn't be at Atlanta, and we were watching through the live stream, and it's like the live stream people almost tried to crank the volume up to, and it's different. Like you can hear the gear of the differential whine. You can hear the tires, the scrub, like when you start going sideways, like there's like that sideways tire scrub.
You hear the tire work, which is really, really weird to hear. Like, the pitch changes based on how the tire is working.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like I mean, the car it's weird. Like it's almost surreal. Brian, you want to say something?
No, it's, you can only imagine what it'd be to see something like that for the first time. Everybody's brain is trying to compute that there's something wrong, and they can't. They know it's not supposed to make noise, but they're still bothered by it. It's disturbing to some people when you see a car going sideways like that, and there's no engine sound whatsoever.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
How do you think driving it feels?
Yeah,
actually, I
the
wanted
clutch
to.
doesn't do anything, does it? The clutch doesn't really do anything.
That's a dead pedal.
I was going to ask you
And-
about that. Like, what did you do to compensate as a driver? Like, what was like the challenges you were having the most difficulty with going into a vehicle setup like this? And is there anything that you want to change in the future after having some seat time with it?
So just trying to like, when we first tested the car, I did burnouts, donuts, figure eights, stuff like that, and it felt kind of odd. But once I actually just was like, okay, I just need to initiate this thing at speed and actually like slide it through a corner to see what the car feels like better than just like a donut or a figure eight or something slow speed. And I was able to like run the car through a corner consistently at angle and like really controllable within like 5 or 6 tries of running the car at speed. It was easier to control than I had thought. I was kind of just like, this thing's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to have to do a bunch of learning and changes to my driving style. But it was surprisingly easy to adapt once you change your mental, like I don't know how to explain it. Your idea of how you think it should drive. Like once you just flip your brain to kind of comprehend what is happening, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as you'd think.
Okay.
You're just kind of you just miss certain sounds and certain feelings in the car. But like the way I was kind of explaining it was if someone loses their hearing or loses their eyesight, like their other senses are kind of enlightened to like help, like the human body like heightens those senses left to kind of help.
Mhm.
And since there's no noise, it kind of like helps me. I can focus a lot more on how the car is feeling. I don't know. It's super weird to explain.
No, that's actually really interesting.
Does that sound crazy?
No,
Does
no,
that sound crazy right
I'm
now?
imagining that.
It
yeah.
makes perfect sense. It's like when you're talking to like a person who's blind, and they have to like.
They read your lips.
No,
I'm
they're,
sorry,
they're
but-
blind.
Brian, what the heck just happened to Brian?
They
Did
put
he just
the-
go full
they put your
hypothermic meltdown?
they put their fingers in your mouth and then they read your lips.
The blind people can read your lips, Paco.
No, but it makes
What?
perfect sense. Like you're like, let's say like in this case you don't have a particular sound, so you're like you get the chance to pay more attention on others, and that makes you kind of like learn something more about the car. It does make sense.
So all you have to do is like put earbuds in your ear, crank up some jaw rule, and do a few laps and see how you do.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, it doesn't help that my earbuds in my helmet are like they're like molded to your ears, so they're super quiet. So it just makes the quiet more quiet.
Well, they can just like add like a fake engine sound, like they've done on some Mustangs. And
Well, or what about like an audible noise that reflects the actual wheel speed in the car? Like
exactly
you know,
what
like,
I'm saying.
Well,
Like what they were doing on Fords and other cars, where they play engine noises through the speakers, and just pretend like that's like your RPM. Like,
Yeah, we bounce around ideas like that all the time. We obviously haven't capitalized on any of them, but we have ideas.
I would just say anytime you go full throttle and the sound only comes on at full throttle, your car starts playing Andrew WK Party Hard. And then when you come off the throttle, it stops playing it, but it only works when you go full throttle. That would be my suggestion if I was on
that would be
Napoleon.
perfect.
I just want the Jetson spaceship to
Yeah.
Before we move on, Corey, let me real quick,
Yeah,
because
go
we were talking about the comments. Like this is a real quick some comments that people left on one of Travis's last posts, and about his car doing qualifying, and one says silent but deadly. Then somebody says, car sounds great, guys. Then somebody else says, that was such a wild sounding run. And then some dude, car drove like shit.
Yeah, I remember reading that one.
It's dude, like the car looked just fine. I mean, like it looked like every car that's still being driven on the first tries, you know, like it looked good. You were sideways, there was tire smoke. Obviously it wasn't like massive, but at the same time, I think you're still doing testing, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, we're testing in between each round and still developing as fast as we can. So,
do you guys have?
I've never been so excited to get a 67 qualifying score in my life, though. I tell you that.
Dude, doesn't even matter. Yeah,
Yeah.
What would you consider a victory for a weekend for you guys? Like, what is your goals every time you show up to the track? Obviously, winning would be one of them, but what is ultimately like? What are you guys trying to achieve when you come to each round?
That weekend, we hit our goal, and in our eyes, we won.
Right.
Because you made a battle.
We qualified the car, and we completed 2 laps in competition consecutively without a mechanical. So at that point, we're like, hell yeah, we won. It's only up from here. Like, everyone was stoked. We were all high-fiving and shit, and we're like, we've never been so excited to lose. Like, it doesn't even matter because we just did something that no one's ever done, and we're just pumped that we can try to just step the bar up in every other round that we drive the car and just progress from there.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, like we mentioned earlier, is like there's so many odds stacked up against you guys just purely based off the uniqueness of what you're bringing that a victory would be just developing the proper functioning electric drift 6th gen Camaro. You know, I don't know what you expect. And if you think anything other than that, as far as, you know, people have this huge expectation of you winning, they just don't understand motorsports and what it takes to develop a properly operating program at this level. It just takes time. You know, usually there's people will put 2-3 years on it before you actually start potentially winning because there's so much development and R&D that goes into this. And you'll see teams even with like a gas-powered engine that will come in with a new chassis. You look at Federico, he brings in this Ferrari. Dude hasn't broken the top 16 yet, but he's second year in, still developing this car. Mm-hmm. It's a unique chassis. It just takes time, but these people were like, God damn, you brought a Ferrari, you should have won because it's a Ferrari. It's the best car ever built. But it's like,
yeah, and it's still been going.
Look at everything that we've done to it. It's
still going through so many different drivetrain changes, setups, you know, wheel size, tire. I mean, yeah, it's a constant struggle. Now imagine with something so new as an electric car. And what's crazy, I mean, dude, you went to battle straight up to Chelsea. It doesn't get crazier than that.
There's a thing about that ever since Long Beach. So I don't know if I just suck at qualifying or I just have horrible luck, but we're on Nitto this year, and every event I have pulled a Nitto driver in the 32. Nice. So the only one left to pull is Vaughn. So Long Beach I pulled Halbrun. Mm-hmm. Ando I pulled Turk, and this last event I pulled Chelsea. So I don't know what it is, but I'm just fully expecting to get Vaughn
next round,
just because to finish the cycle off.
Yeah, get them all out of the way early, and you can start knocking everybody else out. So, for example, like right now, you have some downtime before New Jersey and things like that. What's the type of preparation the car's getting, or what are the guys doing back at the shop right now?
I mean, I'm sure they got the thing all torn apart. We had kind of after every event, we make a list of things we'd like to change, and if our time frame allows it, and kind of strategize over that kind of stuff. So, the guys back in Napoleon in Houston are jamming on the car right now, getting it ready. I'll be back over there in about a week to meet up with those guys and see how everything's been going, and spend some time over there, get some testing done before Jersey, and then probably end up going back over there after Jersey to continue the pattern. So I'm just trying to, we all have the same common goal of trying to make this thing a real weapon. So we're going to do everything in our power this year to make that happen. And these dudes are super driven and super motivated to get that shit done. So
yeah, because real quick, Napoleon came from road racing, right? That was kind of their thing. What sparked this interest in drifting, and how have they taken on the sport now, being in it for a few rounds? Are they stoked on it?
Oh, they're super pumped. They love it. It was kind of a culture shock for them at first because, um, uh, because the road racing world is drastically different from Formula D. So,
Well, we already know that road racers hate drifters.
oh yeah,
So now add electric motors. I mean, I think we probably hate them just as much. So now you have an electric drift car. It's like, double headshot.
yeah. So it's just they operate totally different in the paddocks and how people communicate, and like I don't think they were shit. I don't know. It was like in road racing, it's so intense, especially in the Trans Am series, that you're fighting for tenths of a second with all these other cars, right? So
Yeah.
the intensity of competition and what you do when you make your changes to the car and how you strategize for that is so, I couldn't even imagine having to come up with ways to fight for that tenth. And drifting's so different and the vehicles are so different that it kind of changes how you operate throughout the weekend. And they really love it. After Long Beach, I was telling them about drifting and the camaraderie and how everyone's a family and everyone genuinely loves the sport and wants to progress it. And like they're like, yeah, like we understand that. But then when they got to Long Beach and started talking to people and meeting all the drivers and the teams, and they were like, oh shit, like, yeah, this is like totally different. Like we understand what you're saying now. And they've just kind of like fallen in love with a different motorsport all over again. And on top of that, like Formula D, like with it being like an internet sport essentially, and so like social media and marketing based, it only like makes sense to pursue something like that. Like
It's true, man. It's like you could look at other forms of motorsports right now. Look at NASCAR. Obviously NASCAR's hurting right now for views. IndyCar is still hurting for views.
Well,
There's a lot of other forms of motorsports that's been around a lot longer, but they've never really changed their product. And I think what's happening is that generation that got into NASCARs in the 50s and 60s, they're 60, 70, 80 years old, not really caring about NASCAR, and you're not bringing any new younger fans to NASCAR. You're not bringing any new younger fans to road racing because the culture is just that. They're not adapting to this younger audience that drifting just so happened was able to capture in the past 17 years that it's been here in the United States. And I've always wondered that what would happen to a team that was predominantly road racing come in and what their initial thought would be, because it is shockingly different for them. Mm-hmm. But hopefully it wakes them up and is like, there's something here and we've been missing it the whole time. And also if that motivates other road racing teams to spark an interest, I think that is when the sport is going to grow the most. Well, Corey, I truly believe what it's going to take for FD and drifting go to the next level is it's going to take a lot more manufacturer support. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a larger team operation. And with those two things, larger budgets will come. That's when larger driver pay will start coming in. You need to get that initial pull back over to drifting because it's not there yet. Yeah. And, bringing people over like Napoleon.
Yeah.
Because I think the problem is I think part of the problem is everybody's afraid to make that first jump. You know what I mean? It's like when it comes down to first years of drifting, it's like what manufacturers are jumping first? Well, Ford doesn't want to jump in because they're scared because they don't want to have bad rap. Dodge doesn't want to do it because Ford doesn't want to jump in, so it's probably not a good idea if no other manufacturers can jump in. Why would a road racing team want to jump into a sport when the risk is too high? It may just flop and they may ruin the whole idea of their team. But it's like you converted them, they experienced it, they see this new wave. Hopefully they go back to road racing and say, yo guys, we should seriously bring you guys over and check this shit out because it is absolutely nuts. And there you go. Now you have the sport that has the funding, the sponsors, the team, the crew, and that's when drivers are going to be fully taken care of. As right now, including yourself, dude, you were such a big privateer last year. You had your grandparents, yourself. You guys did majority of the freaking work. You guys busted your ass, in most cases on all our own dimes. And now it's like look at times have changed because of this opportunity of a larger team finally stepping up. So the more we can have that happen, more power to the sport, man. And big shouts out to Napoleon, because hopefully by them being ballsy enough to gamble their reputation that they had in road racing over in the drifting world. Hopefully more people are like, well, fuck, they did it. I want to jump in too now.
Yeah, I have like an unmeasurable amount of respect for everyone at Napoleon. Like, just I couldn't even imagine what was going through their heads when they go from racing Trans Am for 5 years or however long it was. I think it was 4 or 5 seasons, and winning championships in Trans Am and putting all this effort into their road race, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, we kind of want to try something new, so we're gonna not only just like build a drift car, but we're gonna build a drift car like this, and we're not even gonna run road racing anymore. And they kind of almost like jumped ship and just like dove in head first, and like I couldn't even imagine making a decision like that from that point. So it was like, it's just super cool. Like the whole team and everyone is just like awesome, and they're just like, I couldn't think of anyone else I'd want to venture into this rookie year with than them. Like, I'm super lucky. They're just like super visionaries, and like, I don't know, it's cool.
Well,
I'm super pumped about it.
And the other thing too is, like, you look at drifting, especially Formula Drift as a whole, and it's like, I truly believe that drifting professionally in the United States has only reached about 45% of what it's technically capable of. And what I mean by that is the drivers, the cars, the venues, the teams. We're still literally scratching the surface. That I don't fully think we even hit 50% of what we're capable of. Once we get to that 60, 75, 80%, that's when you'll see drifting take on new venues. And I'm talking going to bigger courses. Go to Laguna Seca. Go to, let's go do something in stadiums. And like
the corkscrew.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like, think about, we haven't even done that yet. That just still shows how young
Corey,
the sport is.
Think about it. Like, one of the things we've been seeing just recently, a lot of the, I mean, Toyota got into NASCAR, what is it, like maybe 10 years ago?
Something like that.
And everybody was like, ew. And now, they're kicking ass. And now Toyota and, I mean, like the Blackout boys, Forsberg, Turk, Dylan, all the Toyota guys, they go to the NASCAR, a lot. They present their vehicles at NASCAR races. They are even building a NASCAR with a 2JZ. They're building a fucking NASCAR car.
They're gonna piss some people off with that. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, but that's exactly the point, because like a lot of people's like, a lot of people's gonna get pissed, but a lot of people's gonna be like, you know what, this is kind of cool, and then we're gonna start asking questions. What is this whole inline six turbo thing about? It's like, oh, these are the drifters. They do this shit. It's also cool. The fucking, they're going just as fast as a NASCAR, but sideways, and fucking, it's a show. So I think the way drifting is bleeding itself into other motorsports, it's definitely attracting more, especially younger fans, and some of the older fans that they don't necessarily understand who wins and all that, but they understand having fun, and they understand like fucking
matter.
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's like when you're watching monster trucks. Who the fuck wins at a monster truck race? The audience. Like, who I don't know. Fucking everybody. It's just everybody did amazing. Everybody doing backflips on these things. I don't care who. Like, I'm not gonna be.
Crashes the hardest wins.
Yeah, exactly. It's just even with drifting. Even if your favorite driver doesn't win, you still get to watch a fucking sick show, and you have a good time. And you guys are. I mean, like, hats off to both, pro drivers and party drivers who, like, literally, this is what they do. They're putting on a show, and even if they don't win, they still have this good energy and enthusiasm to keep going. I mean, that's at the end of the day, I think the audience always wins.
Mm-hmm. For sure, I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, yep. But no, that's exactly it. So the whole idea and the whole story behind that was the risk of Napoleon migrating over and taking a gamble, and obviously linking up somebody like you that would hopefully propel them into the future and things like that. And with that, you have a long-term deal with them? I'm assuming you're working to make this obviously as long as you possibly can to develop it, and that's kind of the goal.
Yeah, I'm in it for the long haul, and they seem like they are too. It wouldn't make sense to back out now, but we don't plan on stopping until this car can really kick some ass. So.
Are you guys married to the electric deal, or is still considering, like, if for whatever reason, you know what, electric was cool and all that, but we actually want to win championships, let's bring a gas engine car?
I mean, we see a lot of potential in the electric stuff, and as of right now, we're gonna do everything we can to push it to make the electric stuff on par with the gasoline stuff.
Nice.
So we hadn't really had talks about building another Camaro with a V8 still in it. We hadn't really talked about anything like that, but we're pretty committed to making this electric stuff work because we're super interested in it, and it's just something we believe in for the long run that could, like, we just believe in the potential of it. So we're going to keep pushing until we make it happen. And there's no boundaries.
Well, we already seen insane victories on drag racing. I mean, not on NHRA, but like we already seen the potential of electric cars on drag. We've seen them, like creating an entire Formula One, Formula E series based on electric. So, like, I personally, I wouldn't like to see an all electric drifting championship, but I definitely, one of the things that I love about drifting is the fact that you can bring whatever car it is, as long as it is a production vehicle, and whatever engine or motor it is out there. So I would like to see more electric cars battling against gas. I don't think gas is ever going to go away, but I just love what's going on, and then, like, I think you guys are doing something that needed to be done.
Was that your end sentence, Paco?
Yeah, no, like, I don't think if the electric stuff were to take over, I don't think that would happen for a very long time. I think we're far away from that. I think maybe in 5 years or so, you might have a couple other electric cars in FD. That could be a possibility. I don't know of anyone else building one, but I could see like a couple people maybe doing it. But I don't think it's going to take over by any means, and maybe for like a long time.
I mean, because in our 3 years of the show, we've had a couple other drivers interested in talking about electric. So it's like there's been definitely like the talks. I know Matt Field at some point thought he wanted to approach Tesla directly and maybe to actually drift a Tesla, which I think that would be awesome. Why not? But I think like, I don't think electric's never gonna replace fuel. It's just gonna be like V8 versus 2J, like inline 4 versus turbos and V8. There's just gonna be another engine, and that's it. It's just, at the end of the day, it's up to whoever builds the best car and whoever has the most skilled driver.
Yeah, and we all love gasoline cars more, or just as much as like the next guy. Like, we're not anti V8 or anti JZ or anti internal combustion. Yeah, we're just venturing off into the unknown and doing something no one's done. Like, we all love our V8s.
Just keep it away from Corey, because Corey, what do you think about V8s?
They're the best thing I've ever seen in my life, man. No, they're cool. And like I said, I have no issues with them whatsoever. I love V8s. I've had 4 V8s in drift cars in my life. I think they're badass. But the thing is, I'm more into driving what I think is fun for the time being.
You're more into driving what runs. That's at the end of the day.
That's another thing too. If it starts, then
but didn't blow in the dyno.
Yeah, as long as I can push down on a pedal and it moves, I'm totally happy. No, but honestly too, I think that's the unique thing about drifting, right? Is drive what you enjoy, drive what is fun. That's the freedom of the sport that a lot of sports don't have. Is you have the flexibility to drive an electric powered car. You have the flexibility to drive in a 4-cylinder crazy turbo to a V.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. So it's like part of this. Yes, it is a competition, but it's also drive what you enjoy. As most other forms of motorsports don't have that luxury. And that's why as soon as I think other teams start seeing that, it's really going to change the motorsports industry, because it is something that's really going to change it. And who would I talked to somebody this week, and it was another dude that's on a global rallycross team, and they're like, "Do you guys literally? This is all you do?" And it's like, this is pretty much all we do is make these small adjustments. And he was blown away that we weren't constantly replacing body panels, changing shock, changing spring. He was like blown away by that, because they say we make like 100 different changes a day trying to tune these things in. And it's like, at what point does your crew get beat up and tired and saying, man, this is so unsustainable that I'm laying in the dirt trying to work on this car? When you go out there, you make a handful of changes. You know, the nice thing about us is like, outside of like weather condition, right? The variable of the track rarely changes depending if it's been used a lot or not. It's not like, you go to like a global rallycross event where you have 10 cars out there and they can totally rut the course and the jump and the variables of the track conditions. It's like, it's a very simplistic setup considering that it's the asphalt conditions are saying, other than like the weather conditions and things like that. So it's like, that is the nice thing about this. It's not terribly grueling. It's not, it is at times. I'm not going to say it's not, but it's having that flexibility and freedom that's going to really start getting people excited about the sport.
Well, like, I don't know, our crew's probably bored most of the time at FD events, like crewing for the drifting stuff, because I can only imagine the amount of adjustments and data they gather on a competitive Trans Am team.
Dude.
And the amount of prep work and everything that goes into those cars and how perfect they have to be to have the competitive edge. They're probably just like standing around like on vacation at an FD event. Like, oh, occasionally like shit hits the fan and you got to like hustle and figure it out. But then you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad because we just had to like throw some tires on it and like replace a suspension arm or something. And
yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like, I don't know how far drifting is going to go. None of us really do, but it's like, they're dealing with drag and aero and all these other variables that are just, we haven't even touched yet in the sport. And I know, we're not doing 160 miles an hour, so I don't know how much drag and aero and wing and pitch and yaw and all that stuff is going to come into play. And it may one day, I don't know, but it's like, now take that variable out of the motorsports you're in, and how much more could you actually focus on and really start developing. But don't get me wrong, it's like, there is times like we go back to Formula Drift last year, Forsberg's changing an engine every single round. That sucks. Like, and that does happen. It absolutely sucks, but it does happen. But outside of that, it's like, could be very simplistic as long as you have a properly dialed machine with a good crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have that. Well, getting there.
So next round is New Jersey. What are you guys doing to prep? What are you looking forward to the most?
Just driving more, dude. Everyone's like, the whole team's just stoked to have another chance to develop. You only get so many chances to run the car, so you can only develop so fast. So every time a round comes up, we just get pumped to see how our changes work, and just like watch the car progress and watch like the overall, just, I don't know, everything, how the team progresses, how the car progresses, since everything's new, it's just super exciting. Like, I don't know. It's like, just every round we just get pumped, and it's just another adventure, I guess. I don't know, it's cool.
And one of the things that comes up a lot while you're talking about that, obviously all these things are changing, but what type of power did it make? Were you guys able to dyno it? Is that what you...
No, we haven't added the dyno. But based on like calculations, like our battery output and what the motor should do, it should be like 500 wheel horsepower and 800 foot-pounds. but it would make 800 foot-pounds instantly. So that's like on par with what most of the cars are making as far as torque. But it doesn't exactly have a torque curve. It has like a torque square.
It's a square.
Just
Because it's like this and then like that.
It's perfect.
and then off.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's kind of hard to judge. And from what I understand, you put an electric car on a dyno, like put a Tesla on a dyno, most dynos freak out from what I've seen. Like I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos of people trying to throw a P100D on a like all-wheel drive like dyno jet, and the thing will like read kind of a torque number, and then we'll read like 10,000 foot-pounds, and then we'll read like 1,000 foot-pounds, and like most dynos don't know how to react to it.
No, because the thing about dynos is the way they operate is they measure the change on torque. So with the Teslas or with the electric cars, you have that torque immediate, and then there's no change.
No change.
And
So it can't detect it.
so it just detects a huge spike, and then it thinks like it drops. So they just need to be calibrated properly. They're just calibrated for measuring and electric and gasoline engines. But like a lot of people don't understand that as soon as you put the pedal down, you get 100% of that torque at 1 RPM, and then it's just the same torque constantly. So I think that gives you like literally your pedal is your like literally that's your torque. Like I'm gonna put 50% of torque. That's 50% of torque of pedal, right? What do you feel any kind of like feedback from the pedal at all? I mean, it's obviously all electric, but do you kind of like just learn how to regulate from like a full drive-by-wire? Is that a thing that you kind of had to like get used to it, or how was it?
Yeah, it's different, but the more I drive it, the more I can figure out where, like what my foot input does for like wheel speed input. Like I've learned now where, like what the car does at what position of the throttle pedal, because the ratios are different and how the power comes in is so different than like my S13.
Yeah.
The more I drive it, the more I get used to where I can give it a lot here or not a lot here, or just knowing in the back of my head when the thing's going to blow the tires off, which is pretty much immediately. But there is kind of like a buffer of where like, I hope you can feather it.
I hope we can get some GoPro footage from the pedals, like how like recently everybody's been shooting their footwork. So I think that'd be interesting to see like the outside and inside of a run, how you are activating the pedals and all that. And if I'm not mistaken, the clutch pedal actually cuts the power, right? So you don't accidentally give it power while you're e-braking.
No, the clutch pedal does nothing.
Oh, it does not. So okay. So maybe that was some inside word that apparently had just like a switch. So if you push, are you still pushing the clutch pedal just kind of like for memory?
Yeah, I kind of do it for muscle memory still, because it's like it has a hanging pedal box, and the clutch pedal's still there, but it's just dead. It doesn't do anything. We talked about doing kind of like a motor kill with it, but I mean, you just. As far as handbrake operation, like you just let off the throttle, pull the handbrake, and then when the handbrake's out, you get back in the throttle and it lights tires up again.
Normal operation.
I mean, I guess there is the chance of like, if I get kind of like if I make a mistake and I get ahead of myself, and if I get into the throttle with the handbrake still up, there is a chance of like breaking things. Like that's your quickest way to blow up a quick change is if you clutch out with the handbrake up, So I guess there is the chance of breaking something like that, but I just have to like remember like don't get on the throttle so the handbrake goes out.
It will be safe to either like have a switch on the e-brake or on the clutch, right? Like as soon as the e-brake is pushed, it just disconnects all power input from the pedal, just like a,
Yeah, probably could. We haven't got there yet, but
I don't know. I'm talking to Napoleon tomorrow. I'm Mr. Napoleon himself. We have a little chit chat.
Dynamite.
Yeah, Mr. Dynamite. We're talking about
meeting.
yeah. Dude, so many questions, man. Like it's just
hit that super chat, Paco. We got a couple super chats.
okay.
going.
Yeah, let's
get
go
those out of the
real
way.
quick. Let's go on super chat because we have a couple from a long time ago. From Hayden Taylor with $5.69. Favorite
Man,
number,
what a great
Corey.
number.
Corey, has your S14 had more liveries than actual times on track?
Ouch.
I don't want to brag, but it might. Well, hold on. Well, let's see. I had the blue one, the green, the last
three-
one. I have this
three
one.
liveries?
I did 2 grid lives. And I did Desert Mayhan.
So you're pretty much
And-
tied.
It's 1 for 1, dude.
Yeah.
1 for 1.
You're tied.
Get on my level, Paco.
Good guess. Good guess.
Get on my level.
I'm 0 for 0.
You're like the like any car on ITW the last couple of years where they change a livery every event.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yep. I
Pretty cool.
was
Good
going
plan.
to say something, but I'm
I
not.
see what you're doing.
Yep.
I see what you're doing. Smart.
Keeping it fresh, dude. Keeping it fresh.
Then we have another question from Matt Hill. I don't know if it's been asked yet, but how often are you having to charge at the track, or does a stop at the Tesla charging station before suffice? That's one of the things, like, definitely, I think a lot of people wanted to know. Do you charge? Do you replace the batteries? I've heard some things, but I want to hear from you.
I mean, we just treat the car like a cell phone. We've never fully killed it. So, I mean, so far we've been able to like run a whole day and then just charge it at night. Like, even though it's not dead, you plug it in anyways, so that it's fresh for the morning, you know?
Yeah.
But we don't really know the exact range of what the batteries do because we haven't pushed it. We don't want to kill the batteries too far to damage them. So, but we do monitor. We know a limit on where it's dangerous on the batteries to go below a certain voltage. But we haven't really got near that. But I mean, we just run it and then at night plug it in, charge her up, and then we're good to go the next day. It's like too easy.
I forgot to plug the car last night.
Yeah.
Hey, Corey, do you have your Movi? I need to charge my
No,
car.
all you do is just hook a jump box to it and go do a lap with your trickle charger to it or something.
That's
We can't use Tesla charging stations either.
Oh,
You
no.
can't?
Use micro USBs. Like 30 of them.
We rigged it up for 30 iPhone chargers.
Oh, dude, the lightning cable's just killing it.
So it's all like an amp and a half. So we get our like, what would that be?
Are you being serious?
No.
Okay.
Paco, come
Hey,
on.
well, here's the thing. Like, we don't know at this point. It could be. Like, I mean, you know,
It's a space shuttle. I get it. It's a space shuttle.
it's fucking.
I'm in the perfect position to start rumors about this thing.
Dude, you should
exactly.
be.
Like, you should be. Like literally, you could say
Area
right
51
now.
shit right here.
Right now, you can say that the entire carbon fiber is actually fuel cells. Say that there's fuel cells on the car. I mean, solar cells.
Yep.
Yeah, the car is.
Paco, you're in like
Don't
like
even-
Star Trek shit right now, Paco.
Dude, okay, hold on one second.
Is Captain Kirk your crew chief?
Beat me up.
Yeah.
beat me up,
Is Scotty? What does Scotty do? What is the Klingons? Do you work with any Klingons?
We actually have some these things in the wheel bearings that when we run it actually charges itself back up. It's like a fully self-sustainable deal. So we never actually have to charge it because the rolling resistance charges the car.
It's what's it called? Bearing regeneration.
Regenerative braking, yeah. It's on all the time. Like, we figured out a way to turn it way up. So as you do a drift lap,
And then-
it's completely recharged.
And
at
then
the end.
do you have like a spout in the front of the car that sucks all the exhaust emissions from the vehicle that's in front, and it has a transducer that converts that CO2 into electrons and charges the batteries too. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Got it. Nail on the head.
That's technology.
I told you how this shit figured out,
Awesome.
Corey. Well, there's
Well,
there's another super chat question from
hit it.
from Hayden Taylor with 269
Ooh, Hayden
again. So, when is shitting on Chevys gonna start? Hayden, you got it. We're about to shit on Chevys like we've never shit on them before.
when you feel something heavy and you're driving in a Chevy.
Finish the joke, Corey.
Miriam.
I can finish this. Big Balls can finish the song. That's a great question, by the way. Let's do this, Yako. What do you say we start getting on the grams?
Do you want to get on the grams? Travis, are you ready for this? Because, dude, like, obviously, we have heavy questions right here.
All right, good.
You want me to start, Corey?
Hit it.
Okay, I have this one. This is definitely, it's a troll. It's a very famous internet Instagram troll. Username Chelsea the Nova. Push rods or copper windings?
Push rods or copper windings?
Yeah. I guess he's talking about your drivetrain.
We have both in the trailer, so
Can't beat that.
Perfect.
we're not biased.
Corey?
This is from Tommy Segura. Do you sometimes wish you still drove the S13 and Pro 1 since you seem much more competitive in it?
Not necessarily. I like driving both cars for different reasons. I am super comfortable in the S13, obviously, but in the bigger picture, it's nothing special. It's not very different. It's just another 30-year-old chassis with a V8 shoved in it. It's like the standard. There's nothing really too exciting about it. So I don't know. I have the same fun driving anything, like driving the Camaro versus driving my S13 versus driving my 200 horsepower E36. Like, I have fun driving no matter what. There's just like kind of a time and place for each, and whenever, like, if I'm driving, I'm having a blast no matter what, so it doesn't really matter to me.
I just read this question as you were saying that, and this dude just asked a very magical question. Do you have Chick-fil-A out there?
Oh yeah, we have Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Ooh.
The creativeness is really what wins the comment section. So the more creative you guys are, the more likely we're probably going to ask this question. But this guy just came out with a brilliant question. This is Smokin' S13 with a great name, by the way. When going to Chick-fil-A, and of course you get the spicy chicken sandwich with pepper jack, do you go for the lemonade or root beer?
Oof.
Ooh.
Tough.
I go for lemonade.
Yeah,
I go for lemonade.
Solid.
It's a hard choice, but lemonade
Solid.
for sure.
And of course you go with the spicy chicken sandwich with pepper jack,
Yeah.
of course.
Duh.
Hey,
God,
Travis.
I'm actually not a fan of spicy, so I get the regular deluxe chicken sandwich, and then I just add cheese.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you tried getting that on a Sunday?
Yeah, I've tried many times.
It's always closed.
Yeah.
I can say I haven't done that.
Why do all of a sudden do we have a massive amount of cheeseburger and pizza questions? Like,
I mean, it was
I
obvious.
don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening.
Didn't you know
I'm
Travis?
loving it.
Travis Reeder is also known as a competitive eater.
Kobayashi, Travis Kobayashi.
He did the Kobayashi hot dog contest not too long ago. Look at it! He's built for it.
This,
160 pounds of fury.
Woo!
hold on, there's so many good ones.
Get it, Corey.
I'm reading. Help me out here, Pac.
Okay, well, there's the one. Well, here's one from Richard Dinger, Hot Dog Flinger.
Of course.
First time listener, long time caller. Be honest. Your car has a giant antenna you sit on, and Big Balls Brian is the one driving that thing on Forza from his sim setup. Is your car being driven remotely?
Yeah, I'm just kind of like the dummy. I just sit in it and just stare out the window, and yeah, it's all remote. It's all the guys back in the trailer.
We've been found out, darn it.
Dang it.
Sorry, guys. Sorry to disappoint.
This is from Vandermoor Motorsports. What is it like being a Camaro Prius hybrid? Do you believe you can podium with the Camaro setup?
I believe that, yeah, with some tweaks and development, I feel like it'll definitely be a contender. I think it's cool having a Camaro Prius hybrid. I think we should do, for a backup car, we should do an LS swap Tesla to do the opposite.
Ooh.
Oh god, that'd be amazing.
That'd be
Ultimate troll right there.
cool. Yeah, just be those guys.
Hold on, this is from Alan Union. If you had to pick an intro song for your top 16 intro, what would it be, and why would you choose Baby Shark?
What would it be, and why would you choose Baby Shark?
Well, I mean, obviously, here are your choices. You have the electric slide.
Okay.
You have electric avenue.
Okay.
You have the electric light orchestra. And then you have Little Red Corvette. Dang it. That was never mind. No,
You can't ask a question, Paco, and then say never mind at the end of it. That doesn't delete the question. You
no,
just
what I'm
asked.
saying by never mind is like ignore Little Red Corvette because he drives a Camaro. But what would be your intro song?
Electric Avenue, then, if I have to choose from those. But I don't know. We had intro songs in Pro-Am, and it was pretty cool.
Oh, damn.
What'd you come out to?
What was yours?
I'm like a hip hop dude. Like I really like hip hop, but they made me pick an edited song. I remember it was like super censored, so I don't think I was to pick what I wanted to listen to. I can't remember my soundtrack for Pro-Am, but I'm gonna have to look it up. I think I have it in messages from a while ago with the event director. But
Was it TLC Waterfalls?
yeah, that was definitely one of them.
One of them.
Yeah,
It was on the playlist. It was
For
on
sure.
it was on the
There
mixtape.
was definitely something wrong with me.
Two something's got to give.
Then something gave. Yeah. For sure.
I would either be TLC's Waterfall or Lou Bego's Mambo No. 5. Yeah, those would be my two intro classics.
Classic.
Yeah.
This is a question from Yobama 420 6969.
Great username.
Yeah, he's asking, is it real that when your car doesn't make any noises, the chase driver kind of gets thrown off and spins behind you?
Are they talking about Osbo in practice?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he had a mechanical,
Oh, really?
actually. Yeah. I heard that he had like a power steering issue or something.
Okay. Yeah, because it's just like very unlikely for Oswald to spin, and like everybody's saying like, oh, see, there you go. I think Derp was all like, see, called it, can't hear the car,
Yeah.
Oswald spun.
Yeah, I think he had a mechanical. I'm not like I just kind of heard that through the grapevine, but I'm sure it would be kind of a trip because you can't hear when I get on throttle or I'm modulating at all, so you don't know when to come in and like try to dive. It's probably hard to judge that.
Is that something you do as a driver? Like, are you listening to the engine in front of you?
I mean, sometimes, like, if the car, well, I mean, a V8 S13 isn't exactly quiet, so it's kind of hard to hear the other car. But, I mean, probably just being able to hear your throttle modulation so clearly might be weird. But I don't know.
But nobody,
I've
nobody,
never chased.
but
I've
nobody
never
came
chased
to you
cars.
like bitching about it, right?
Do what?
Nobody came to you bitching about it, like, "Hey, dude, this shit's not fair. Can't hear your car."
Hey, Paco, how come when everybody gets gets bitching or angry, he always turns into like a California surfer dude?
That's in my mind. That's what they sound like.
What the heck, dude? Like, come on, man. Like, why are you doing that?
We're just trying to
dude?
have a good time here, you know. Like, I
You
mean,
always turn into a surfer California dude anytime.
I turn into Matthew McConaughey.
Dude, is that what it
We're
is?
trying to have a good time.
Dude, have you ever had one of those guys who are like, yo, dude, why did you get so loose out there, dude? Like, your engines are too quiet and shit, man. Like, what's up with that?
No one complained to me. They just, I mean, a couple people said we were slower and hard to chase in the keyhole, but other than that, like, no one really complained about the noise. They just think it's really weird.
I think the problem that's because the car is so big. That's what makes it hard to chase around the keyhole. Actually,
Well,
I mean,
somebody if anybody ever calls you too slow in the keyhole, that's when you just kick them in the pee hole, dude.
yeah, throw him into the shithole.
No, Paco.
What?
Keep it PG, dude. There's 12-year-olds watching and stuff, you know?
Yeah,
just
The new Camaro
We're on
is
YouTube.
not as big as the previous one, right? It's kind of like more nimble, more, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a little smaller and lighter than the 5th gen, from what
Yeah.
I understand. But it's still big, still a big car.
You remember what's the weight? I don't know if we asked this earlier, but do you remember the weight right now?
It's on par. It's like 3,000.
Oh, okay.
It's not too
With
heavy.
you in it.
It was just slightly over 3 with me in it, like 31.
Nice.
Brian, how much
Nice.
what was the LS with you in it? 'Cause you waited a couple weeks ago.
I think it was like 3150.
31?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just imagine that with like triple the power.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of cars that are heavier than us, so we don't
Yeah.
feel too bad.
Well, what size tire are you running? Are you running that 315 or 305?
No.
You're running a different tire.
Yeah, because we
I
want.
thought Nitto's running a really big tire. Like most people, like Turk went to a massive tire. Vaughn's on a massive tire.
Yeah, they're all on the big tire.
And still debated.
Unreal.
So
I want to
But
be
I don't
running
know- I don't know what
255.
that-
I wonder.
I don't know what that weight class is to run that 315. It's like a 315/40. I don't know what that weight class is.
That's heavyweight.
Heavyweight.
Turk's car from the back, if you look at Turk's car, it looks like it's got a Flintstone wheel.
Just
Because
massive.
It's so big, it
One
looks like it's just
giant
connected
log.
in the center.
Just one giant log wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm stoked to be out there on 255s.
Looks like a pro street drag car.
Yep.
Let's see. There was a couple more decent questions here on the Instagrams.
I asked my burger once, so I'm good.
From Luis Lass, if the EL1 doesn't have a horn, why not put one of the sounds like an engine revving? See, like, that's one of the things that I was telling when we had Kevin on the show. Like how, like, I mean, your vehicle drives through the crowd.
We have a horn.
Oh, do you guys have an actual horn? What does it
Yeah.
sound like?
Yeah, exactly.
What? I apologize, Travis. I have no idea what just happened.
No, I guess just a factory horn.
That's what they sound like in a Camaro?
It's just like a factory style horn. It's nothing special, but we have one.
No, but like a lot of there's some concerns, like some electric equipment in the industry. They kind of like have this added noise just to let people around it that there's this electric vehicle moving around. And I was asking Kevin if they thought about that, because these vehicles are gonna be driving through crowds. And obviously, I mean, it's not a Mustang. It's not going to drive through the crowd. But do you ever had to literally horn because people couldn't even tell that you were behind him when you were trying to go back into the pits?
Yeah, we put it in for that reason.
That's
so that
hilarious.
because I've snuck up behind people before in the car and had to just sit there because I can't get their attention.
Yeah.
It's louder outside of the car with just the noise of the crowd and things and other cars that even if I try to yell out the window, I can't get their attention. So I just sit there and creep. I've sat there and crept behind people while they're walking and couldn't get their attention until they finally turn around and oh, there's a car there. And then I have to just poke through the crowd to the next one. But
You should have
that's why we put a horn in it.
You should have the Jaws theme playing out loud.
Dun, dun,
I
dun,
voted for
dun,
Dixie
dun, dun.
horns, but we couldn't get them done in time.
There's so much shit you can do. I mean, you can get so creative. It's so insane.
The opportunities are endless, Paco.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'm content on the questions for sure,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you have any more, but
Are you doing any kind of a festival fun driving, grid lives, anything else other than Formula Drift this year?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know what the schedule looks like for the rest of the season, but I'd like to. I'd like to drive some fun events with. I think it'd be good to drive some fun events in the Camaro.
That'd be
and,
cool. Get some seat
MS-13
time. Get some seat time and some just getting used to the car at the same time. I think it'll be a great show.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just kind of like just show more people outside of FD events what the car is and what
Absolutely.
it sounds like, and give more people that experience, because it's
100%.
so well that everyone seems to enjoy it. So
And
I'm
also,
down.
also
Just
the
see how the schedule plays out.
so the whole rear end, that's where the motor, this is a Tesla motor drivetrain thing, right?
Yeah, it's Tesla based, so it's
do-
all in the back.
Do you guys have any backup and any backing directly from Tesla at all, or this is pretty much like something that people can just buy off the shelf?
It's like something you could just go. We don't have Tesla backing or anything. It's
Okay.
you could like go to a junkyard and like find a wrecked P100 and like buy like the rear, like the motor, inverter, axles, and the diff assembly and everything out of it. And I think it's pretty cheap actually. I think it's like $4,500 or something like that. Like that's
Damn.
kind of the going rate for it. But yeah, you could get like a really similar setup to what we have from like a junkyard from a wrecked Tesla.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is pretty sweet.
I think this is for some reason I just keep thinking that drifting an electric car is something that freaking Elon Musk will be so on board. Because I mean, when you say like, "Hey, let's just like shoot a car into space," and he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." Like I think if somebody would tell him like, "Hey, dude, why don't we drift a Tesla?" He'll be like, "Oh, yeah, let's do that."
Yeah, I mean, I was just re-listening to his podcast today on
With Joe Rogan. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And the dude is such a trip. He's like, yeah, so we just wanted to like make some money, so we like decided to sell these flamethrowers, but we labeled them as not a flamethrower, and we just like sold 20,000 of them and made a quick 10 million bucks, and then that's it. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like that easy.
Yeah, that easy. It's like we sold 20,000 for $500 a piece and made 10 mil, and yeah, we're good to go. Like dug a hole. Like it's so weird. Like the dude's just he's a total trip.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Freaking
I mean,
cool.
the newer, like a couple Tesla updates ago, like there's a fart machine in the car. Like you go on the iPad and you can, like their display, and you can pick what corner of speaker you want the fart sound to come from. And you can pick from like 50 different farts, and you can
Not
set
too
it
bad.
to where it goes off when you hit the turn signal, or at random. So like you'll just be driving, you'll hit a turn signal, and it'll play a fart noise through like the right rear speaker, and then everyone can turn around and blame it on your homie.
Hey,
like,
what the fuck,
"Yo,
dude?
dude, like what the hell? Like it's got like crap like that in it. It just cracks me up. You can play
Well-
Galaga and like Missile Command and Snake and all those games.
It's crazy that like literally the car has a bunch of Easter eggs, and they keep adding them like without you knowing. They keep
Oh.
uploading updates and shit into your car, and suddenly your car can play fucking Christmas carols with the lights and shit.
Yeah, they have like a romantic mood that plays like R&B love songs, and like it
That's the
it
best.
shows a fireplace on the screen, and then it turns the heater, like the heat on, so it blows heat on your legs, and then plays this fire and plays like love songs
That's
Like,
freaking
brilliant.
awesome.
randomly. It's pretty hilarious.
That's fucking brilliant.
But
Like imagine like just having something that just makes you win at drifting too, or something,
Or something.
or something.
In
Oh,
time.
oil slick.
There you go. Nah, that's pretty cool. So
Well, right on, boys.
the next round.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome,
Wanna drive?
What's the next round,
Uh,
Corey? New Jersey?
New Jersey.
You drove New Jersey before?
Nope.
Ah,
But it looks like just the right amount of sketchy fun, so I'm pretty excited.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like a really haggard skate park.
That's a good way.
That's
a good
exactly
way of
what it
putting
is.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I mean, anything, anybody you want to thank? Anything you want to add before we let you go back into oblivion?
Yeah, I mean, I like obviously thank Napoleon Motorsports, like Joe, Lynn, Ron, Bert, Miguel, Sebastian, like everyone involved in the program over there. Those guys are all awesome, and just appreciate the opportunity to be here and to be able to develop with them. And then on top of that, like Napoleon, Turnkey, Nitto Tire, all of our other partners, like everyone just kind of like jumped on board with this crazy idea we had, like off on a whim. And like I just appreciate everyone for doing that, because it's not the norm. And I could only imagine how they had to pitch that to their bosses and be like, hey, we're going to support this team that's doing this. And they're like, what? So hats off to all those guys for all the support. And
Absolutely.
couldn't do without them. Wouldn't be there without everyone. Everyone's awesome. Just pumped.
Cool.
Pumped for the rest of the year and beyond. And
Well, congrats on leading the current rookie point standing for Pro 1, dude. Hopefully you can take that to the Rookie of the Year and keep that moving forward, man.
yeah, we're gonna do our best. And thanks to FD for letting us bring this car in, because like for a series to be able to do that is pretty awesome.
Freaking awesome.
To
Absolutely.
have their support on our side for that. Like there's not really any other series in the world that would be willing to do that, and FD was totally 100% on board from the get-go. So
100%.
thanks to those guys. Appreciate it.
Well, cool, man. Well, unfortunately, we won't be seeing you out in New Jersey, but we'll be on the stream doing our halftime show, and we might be catching you in Seattle. So
Cool.
keep doing your thing, dude. Good luck, and we will see you hopefully soon.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey,
Later,
thanks,
dude. Good
Thanks for
luck.
the time, buddy. Have a good one.
Yep. Bye.
And that was Travis Ritter, ladies and gentlemen, the electric slider. Corey, I say let's wrap it, but before we
Yeah,
go away, let's thank our sponsors. How about that?
How about AM Intakes for
AM
number one?
Intakes.
For being the coolest brand around.
No. With your voice thingy.
Nope. I'm doing all natural. You got to do natural.
Ooh, okay.
And then we gotta
Acapella?
thank Link Engine Management. Paco.
Link, dude.
Link ECU.
I can't
Baddest
wait to
dudes on
put
the
that
planet.
Link
I got
ECU
yours.
in the 2JC Corvette.
I got it ready to go. It's at the shop, ready for you to grab it.
I'll stop by.
And,
You have it at the shop? I might stop by tomorrow.
Do it. Come on by. It's
Sick.
there.
I'll bring your lip spoiler.
And last but not least, Grid Life is next week. Guys, come out to Grid Life. There's my Rocket Bunny spoiler. I'm jealous. Come out to Grid Life next week. Midwest, Gingerman Raceway. Come hang out the Driftcast crew. We'll have the Boss 14 out there partying all weekend long. 6 shows, 6 bands. All the top dudes. Forsberg Turk, Vaughn, Chelsea, the Falcon dudes. Everybody's going to be out there slanging and banging.
It's gotta be,
Make a trip.
Yeah.
It's
gotta be-
family friendly. It's good music. You got good friends. Let's go out there and party.
Weather's
But
awesome.
Grid Life. Grid Life. Let's do it, guys.
2019
And,
Grid Life. You better be there.
On that note, Yako, I will see you later. Big balls, thanks again, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Everybody, have a good night. And we're out.
All right, I got to run, Puck.
Bye.